Hi readers, Chris here. Today I'm going to be going over my top 10 most anticipated book releases for this month, January 2023. Oh my god, I can't believe it's 2023. That's so crazy to me. I'm still working on this list, but I will give you a sneak peek and say that one of my goals, like my bookish reading goals for 2023, is going to be do a better job at doing these types of videos every month. I know that they get a lot of views and people seem to like them. They do take a lot of time, but I'm going to try really hard to plan in advance to get these videos out every single month. And yes, I know this one is late already, but better late than never. If you're new here, these are not all of the books that are coming out in January. These are just my personal favorites, the ones that interest me the most. Of course, it's a lot of fantasy. These are not ranked in any sort of order other than by publication date. So I'm going to jump in with book number 1, and that's going to be The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. The Stolen Heir. I have never read anything by Holly Black, but she is definitely on the list of authors that I'd like to read this year. I know that the Cruel Prince series is really popular, but this book also sounds good as well. So I'm just going to read to you the description as it states on Amazon, which says, "A runaway queen, a reluctant prince, and a quest that may destroy them both. 8 years have passed since the Battle of the Serpent. But in the icy north, Lady Nor of the Court of Teeth has reclaimed the Ice Needle Citadel. There, she is using an ancient relic to create monsters of stick and snow who will do her bidding and extract revenge. Surin, child queen of the Court of Teeth, and the one person with power over her mother, fled to the human world. There, she lives feral in the woods. Lonely and still haunted by the merciless torments she endured in the Court of Teeth, she abides her time by releasing mortals from foolish bargains. She believes herself forgotten until the storm hag, Bogdana, chases her through the night streets. Surin is saved by none other than Prince Oak, heir to Elfham, to whom she was once promised in marriage and who she has resented for years. Now at 17, Oak is charming, beautiful, and manipulative. He's on a mission that will lead him into the north, and he wants Surin's help. But if she agrees, it will mean guarding her heart against a boy she once knew, a prince she cannot trust, as well as confronting all the horrors she thought she left behind." So I don't know if this is tangentially related to the rest of Holly Black's books. It sounds like it is now that I'm reading it out loud, but this whole Court of Teeth thing, I don't know, it's giving me Tooth Fairy vibes. So I have no idea if this has anything to do with the Tooth Fairy. I just think when you say Court of Teeth, that's the first thing that jumps into my mind. So I don't know. I hope to read my first Holly Black book this year. Maybe this one will be your first Holly Black book. If you're interested in The Stolen Heir, it'll be available as of January 3rd, which I believe may or may not be in the past, depending on when I post this video. My second pick for January is going to be Song Like Silver, Flame Like Night by Amelie Wen Zhao. First of all, look at that cover. I mean, that cover is gorgeous. The dragon with all the scales and the colors sounds super cool. So, according to Amazon, this book says that in a fallen kingdom, one girl carries the key to discovering the secrets of her nation's past. Once, Lan had a different name. Now, she goes by the one the Atlantean colonizers gave her when they invaded her kingdom, killed her mother, and outlawed her people's magic. She spends her nights as a song girl in Hak's Gong, a city transformed by the conquerors, and her days scavenging for what she can find of the past. Anything to understand the strange mark burned into her arm by her mother in her last act before she died. The mark is mysterious, an untranslatable character, but no one but Lan can see it, until the night a boy appears at her tea house and saves her life. Zen is a practitioner one of the fabled magicians of the Last Kingdom. Their magic was rumored to have been drawn from the demons they communed with, magic believed to be long lost. Now it must be hidden from Atlanteans at all costs. When Zen comes across Lan, he recognizes what she is, a practitioner with a powerful ability hidden in the mark on her arm. He's never seen anything like it, but he knows that if there are answers, they lie deep in the pine forests and misty mountains of the Last Kingdom, with an order of practicing masters planning to overthrow the Atlantean regime. Both Lan and Zen have secrets buried deep within, secrets they must hide from others, and secrets that they themselves have yet to discover. Fate has connected them, but their destiny remains unwritten. Both hold the power to liberate their land, and both hold the power to destroy the world. Ooh. So, okay, I feel like this, that was a very long description, and I feel like there's a couple spoilers in there already. So hopefully this book has a lot more to it. I mean, it sounds amazing. I love stories about, like secret magic and, like lands where magic isn't supposed to exist, but it really does. I think this all sounds super, super, super cool to me. So if it sounds cool to you, Song of Silver, Flame Like Night will be available on January 10th. My third pick for January is probably the one that I am most excited about, if I'm being honest, and that is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. When I do these lists, I try not to do too many sequels because when you read a description for a sequel, it can have a lot of spoilers for the previous book, but I need this sequel in my life. Hellbent is the sequel to A Ninth House, which I read last year and really, really, really liked. So, this book is about finding a gateway to the underworld. Steal a soul out of hell. A simple plan, except people who make this particular journey rarely come back. But Galaxy, aka Alex Stern, is determined to break Darlington out of purgatory, even if it costs her her future at Lathe and at Yale. Forbidden from attempting a rescue, Alex and Dawes can't call on the Ninth House for help. So they assemble a team of dubious allies to save the Gentlemen of Lathe. Together, they will have to navigate a maze of arcane texts. Oh, God. Arcane texts. Why can't I say that word? I don't know. Arcane texts and bizarre artifacts to uncover the society's most closely guarded secrets and break every rule doing it. But when faculty members begin to die off, Alex knows that these aren't just accidents. Something deadly is at work in New Haven, and if she is going to survive, she'll have to reckon with the monsters of her past and a darkness built into the university's very walls. Thick with history and packed with Bardugo's signature twists, Hellbent brings to life an intricate world of magic, violence, and all too real monsters. Ooh, I'm so excited. I am so excited. So it does sound like there might be aspects of this book that are similar to book one. So in book one, there was kind of like a murder mystery at the heart of the book, and it sounds like there might be something similar here. I hope those two things are not too similar, but there's a ton of other stuff going on in Ninth House. I assume there will be a ton of other stuff going on in Hellbent. I literally might ditch my entire TBR to read this book. So if you're planning on ditching everything to read this book, Hellbent will be available on January 10th. My fourth pick for January is going to be The Daughters of Izdihar by Hadir Elsbey, and hopefully I am pronouncing that right. This is a debut fantasy novel, sounds really, really cool, based on Egyptian mythology, and this is what the description says. As a water weaver, Nahal can move and shape any water to her will, but she's limited by her lack of formal education. She desires nothing more than to attend the newly opened Weaving Academy, take complete control of her powers, and pursue a glorious future on the battlefield with the first all-female military regiment. But her family cannot afford to let her go. Crushed by her father's gambling debt, Nahal is forced to marry into a wealthy merchant family. Her new spouse, Nico, is indifferent and distant and in love with another woman, a bookseller named Georgina. Georgina has her own secret, however. She is an earth weaver with dangerously uncontrollable powers. She has no money and no prospects. Her only solace comes from her activities with the Daughters of Izdihar, a radical women's rights group at the forefront of a movement with a simple goal: to attain recognition for women to have a say in their own lives. They live very different lives and come from very different means, yet Nahal and Georgina have more in common than they think. The cause, and Nico, brings them into each other's orbit, drawn in by the group's enigmatic leader, Malak Madhu, and the urge to do what is right. But their problems may seem small in the broader context of their world, as tensions are rising with a neighboring nation that desires an end to weaving and weavers. As Nahal and Georgina fight for their rights, the threat of war looms in the background, and the two women find themselves struggling to earn and keep a lasting freedom. I've said this a million times, and I'm going to say it again. As a woman, I love stories about female empowerment, and I love that this story sounds like, on the surface, women helping women, which I think is really cool, super cool. I don't know how far the book is going to go in depth into these women's lives and the emotions and all their marriages and all this stuff, but I hope that it goes deep. I hope that it goes deep. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in going deep into, The Daughters of Izdihar will be available on January 10th. My fifth pick for January is going to be City of Nightmares by Rebecca Schaeffer. This, again, has a super cool cover. I love the skeleton on the bottom with the wide arm spread. I think looks really cool. And this book is being described as Gotham meets Strange the Dreamer. So Gotham, Batman, obviously I'm a big comic book fan. And Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor is one of my absolute favorite books of all time. So this book has me sold right there. But if you need a little more, this is what Amazon says this book is about. Ever since her sister became a man-eating spider and slaughtered her way through town, 19-year-old Ness has been terrified. Terrified of some other nightmare murdering her, and terrified of ending up like her sister. Because in Newham, the city that never sleeps, dreaming means waking up as your worst fear. Whether that means becoming a nightmare that's monstrous only in appearance, to transforming into a twisted, unrecognizable creature that terrorizes the city, no one is safe. Ness will do anything to avoid becoming another victim, even if that means lying low among the Friends of the Restful Soul, a questionable organization that may or may not be a cult. But being a member of a maybe cult has a price. In order to prove herself, Ness cons her way into what's supposed to be a simple job for the organization, only for it to blow up in her face. Literally. Tangled up in the aftermath of an explosive assassination, now Ness and the only other survivor, a nightmare boy who Ness suspects is planning to eat her, must find their way back to Newham and uncover the sinister truth behind the attack, even as the horrors of her past loom ominously near. Okay, I have no idea what that has to do with Gotham or Strange the Dreamer, but I mean, it's about a maybe cult. I mean, you have me right there. A magical cult. Dreams that become nightmares. I mean, this sounds like it has some super cool stuff going on and could be really fun. I also am into when fantasy tends to go a bit dark, and this sounds like it could be dark. Hopefully it's dark enough for me. If it sounds like it might be dark enough for you, City of Nightmares will be available on January 10th. My sixth pick for January is going to be Phaedra by Laura Shepperson. Now this is a little bit different where it's not quite a fantasy, but it's still what I consider a fantastical book. It's been really popular in recent years to do these Greek mythology retellings, and that's what this one is about. So if you're not familiar with who Phaedra is, I would say you could go look this up on Google, but here we go. Phaedra has been cast to the side all her life. Daughter of an adulteress, sister of a monster, and now unwilling bride to the much older, power-hungry Theseus. Young, naive, and idealistic, she has accepted her lot in life. Resigned to existing under the sinister weight of Theseus's control and constant watchful eye of her handsome stepson Hippolytus. When supposedly pious Hippolytus assaults her, Phaedra's world is darkened in the face of untouchable, prideful power. In the face of injustice, Phaedra refuses to remain quiet any longer. Such an awful truth demands to be brought to light. When Phaedra publicly accuses Hippolytus, she sparks an overdue reckoning. The men of Athens gather to determine the truth. Meanwhile, the women of the city, who have no vote, are gathering in the shadows. The women know truth is a slippery thing in the hands of men. There are two sides to every story, and theirs has gone unheard until now. Timely, unflinching, and transportive, Laura Shepperson's Phaedra carves open long-accepted wounds to give voice to the one most maligned figures of mythology, and offers a stunning story of how truth bends under the weight of patriarchy, but can be broken open by the force of one woman's bravery. So obviously there's a bit of a trigger warning for this book, considering what Phaedra goes through with this assault by Hippolytus, but it sounds like this could be a really powerful story. I almost said fun, but I don't think fun is the right word here. It sounds like it could be a really powerful story. I've only read a couple Greek mythology tellings so far, Song of Achilles, and I don't remember what the other one was. They've been like hit or miss for me, but I think this one sounds like it could be really, really, really great. So if Phaedra sounds like it might be a great read for you, it'll be available on January 10th. My 7th pick for January is going to be Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries by Heather Fawcett. Yes, that's the whole title. Here's another book that I kind of half-picked for the cover, even though it's like a black background. I love all the mushrooms and flowers and leaves and vines. Like, it just has a very like cozy feel to it, and I'm hoping that that's the feeling I get from this book. So the description says that Cambridge professor Emily Wilde is good at many things. She is the foremost expert on the study of fairies. She is a genius scholar and a meticulous researcher who is writing the world's first encyclopedia on fairy lore. But Emily Wilde is not good at people. She could never make small talk at a party or even get invited to one. And she prefers the company of her books, her dog Shadow, and the fair folk to other people. So when she arrives in the hardscrabble village of Harnsvik, Emily has no intention of befriending the gruff townsfolk. Nor does she care to spend time with another new arrival, her dashing and insufferably handsome academic rival, Wendell Brambleby, who manages to charm the townsfolk, muddle Emily's research, and utterly confound and frustrate her. But as Emily gets closer and closer to uncovering the secrets of the Hidden Ones, the most elusive of all fairies, lurking in the shadowy forest outside the town, she also finds herself on the trail of another mystery. Who is this Wendell Brambleby, and what does he really want? To find the answer, she'll have to unlock the greatest mystery of all, her own heart. Aw, doesn't that just make you want to say aw? I mean, this sounds like fantasy, romance. It sounds like a super cozy read. Might be perfect for the winter months if you're somewhere where it's cold. Even if you're not somewhere that it's cold, I still think this just sounds like a cozy book. So if it sounds like a cozy book to you, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries will be available on January 10th. For my 8th book of January, I have something completely different, and that's going to be How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Grady Hendrick has released some super popular books in recent years. The Final Girl Support Group, I know, was one. I can't remember what the other one was, but I'm sure someone in the comments section can let me know. But this is a horror book, but it doesn't sound horrifying. It sounds super fun. So this is what the description says. When Louise finds out her parents have died, she dreads going home. She doesn't want to leave her daughter with her ex and fly to Charleston. She doesn't want to deal with her family home, stuffed to the rafters with remnants of her father's academic career and her mother's lifelong obsession with puppets and dolls. She doesn't want to learn how to live without the two people who knew and loved her best in the world. Most of all, she doesn't want to deal with her brother, Mark, who never left their hometown, gets fired from one job after another, and resents her success. Unfortunately, she still needs his help to get the house ready for sale because it'll take more than some new paint on the walls and clearing out a lifetime of memories to get this place on the market. But some houses don't want to be sold, and their home has other plans for them. Like his novels, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires and The Final Girl Support Group, How to Sell a Haunted House is a classic Hendricks, equal parts heartfelt and terrifying. A gripping new read from the horror master. Ooh, I thought only Stephen King was the horror master. Ooh, shots fired, shots fired. This just sounds like super fun, and I know a lot of his other books are super fun. So if How to Sell a Haunted House sounds fun to you, it'll be available on January 17th. My 9th pick for January goes back to a good old fantasy with Spice Road by Maya Ibrahim. So this, again, is supposed to be the first book in a new epic fantasy series that is inspired by Arabian Nights, which was one of my favorites growing up. One of my favorites. So this description says, in the hidden desert city of Kalia, there is a secret spice magic that awakens the affinities of those who drink the Misra tea. 16-year-old Amani has the affinity for iron and is able to wield a dagger like no other warrior. She has garnered the reputation of being the next great shield for battling jinn, ghouls, and other monsters spreading across the sands. Her reputation has been overshadowed, however, by her brother, who tarnished the family name after it was revealed that he was stealing his nation's coveted spice, a telltale sign of magical obsession. Soon after that, he disappeared, believed to have died beyond the Forbidden Wastes. Despite her brother's betrayal, there isn't a day that goes by when Amani doesn't grieve him. But when Amani discovers signs that her brother may be alive and spreading the nation's magic to outsiders, she makes a deal with the council that she will find him and bring him back to Kalia, where he will face punishment. Accompanied by other shields, including Taha, a powerful beast seer who can control the minds of falcons, she sets out on her mission. Amani will soon find that many secrets lie beyond the Forbidden Wastes and in her own heart. But will she find her brother? I don't know why, but the whole thing with like the spice is giving me Dune vibes. If you've ever read Dune, the spice must flow. So obviously there's a lot of cool stuff in here. We've got, genies, jinn, we've got ghouls, we've got other monsters, we've got this Arabian setting. I mean, this just sounds like super cool, super cool. Like, I hope it's as cool as it sounds. So if it sounds cool to you, Spice Road will be available on January 24th. Finally, that brings us to number 10. My 10th pick for January is another one that I am personally super excited for, and that's going to be Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. This is the third book in her Last Hours series, which I have been reading throughout this year, the latest book in the Shadowhunter world, and I am super excited to find out what happens to all of my favorite characters, including our main protagonist, Cordelia Carstairs. Before I read the description of Chain of Thorns, there are some spoilers in here for the previous books. So if you don't want to know anything, then I would say skip to the end of the video, or you can end the video now. Just make sure you give me a like and subscribe before you do. If you're still here, Cordelia Carstairs has lost everything that matters to her. In only a few short weeks, she has seen her father murdered, her plans to become parabatai with her best friend Lucy destroyed, and her marriage to James Herondale crumble before her eyes. Even worse, she is now bound to an ancient demon, Lilith, stripping her of her power as a shadow hunter. After fleeing to Paris with Matthew Fairchild, Cordelia hopes to forget her sorrows in the city's glittering nightlife. But reality intrudes with shocking news from home. Tatiana Blackthorne has escaped the Adamant Citadel, and London is under new threat by the Prince of Hell, Belial. Cordelia returns to London, riven by chaos and dissent. The long-kept secret that Belial is James and Lucy's grandfather has been revealed by an unexpected enemy, and the Herondales find themselves under suspicion of dealing with demons. Cordelia longs to protect James, but is torn between a love for James she has long believed hopeless, and the possibility of a new life with Matthew. Nor can her friends help. Ripped apart by their own secrets, they seem destined to face what is coming alone. For time is short, and Belial's plan is about to crash into the shadow hunters of London like a deadly wave, one that will separate Cordelia, Lucy, and the merry thieves from help of any kind. Left alone in a shadowy London, they must face Belial's deadly army. If Cordelia and her friends are going to save the city and their families, they will have to muster their courage, swallow their pride, and trust one another again. For if they fail, they may lose everything, even their souls. Ooh, I cannot wait to find out what happens. I've been loving reading about Cordelia's story and this unrequited love that she has for James. But of course, James kind of has his own stuff going on. So will they end up together? But now there's Matthew at the end of the last book, and maybe Matthew might be a better choice, but he has his own issues. Oh my God. There's so much going on in these books. There's so many characters. And as long as Magnus Bane makes an appearance in this book, then it'll be fantastic to me. So if you are excited as I am for Chain of Thorns, it'll be available on January 31st. There you have it, the top 10 books that I am most interested in for this month. Oh my God, there's so many more out there. So what are you looking forward to most that's coming out this month? Is it something I mentioned, something I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments section below. And as always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, please subscribe to my channel and come back soon for more bookish videos. All right, everyone, happy reading.